Hello, everybody. This is Sunko, the Korean bro. Today is 2022, May 31st, and Tuesday night. Tomorrow is holiday, so I'm like really happy because I can get to have free time tonight and tomorrow again. So, okay, what do we have? First, the one website that I'm going to look at is called Yahoo Finance. If you've been watching my channel, then you know what I'm gonna do. Let's see, what kind of articles do we have? Hmm. I know it's getting rough every day. If you ever been to, not ever been to, but if you've been trading uh inside stock market, it's really rough market. Indeed. We got 16% up, upward trend by Upstart Holdings. Mm. It's getting pretty good. It's getting pretty good. Hmm. Okay, let's pick articles. Futures sleep after stocks break 7-week losing streak. We've reached the peak bearishness, City says. Recession fears are overblown, Goldman. The next reopening trade has wrapped morning brief. Here's what to watch in the markets on Tuesday, May 31st, 2022. Don't fall in love with your investment, they'll always break your heart. Okay. JP Morgan says the market bottom is near as corporate buybacks skyrocket. Here are three high upside stocks to play that bullish. Down more than 40%. Analysts say these two beaten down stocks are oversold. Stock markets news live update. Stock futures deep as Wall Street struggles to sustain momentum. Investors pile into 10 stocks to catch markets upswing. Analyst report. Dow Jones futures fall as Bitcoin soars. Oil prices jump as EU bans Russian oil. The stock market is having a tough May. What's next according to history? Morgan Stanley says U.S. stock rally has limited upside. These investors say Nasdaq's bear market has lags. Suze Warman, this is the only asset class with a track record of earning more than inflation. Here are three simple ways to get exposure for Salesforce earnings expected to serve as business spending bellwether amid economic uncertainty. Let's zoom in on Zoom videos charts a week after earnings. Micro, Netflix, and five other beaten up tech stocks that could be a bargains. Qualcomm keen to buy armed stake in cheap designers' upcoming IPO, CEO says. Dow Jones futures signal losses for market rally. Should you be aggressive? How can I quickly pounce on Bitcoin's recent bounce? Here are three of the simplest ways to start investing in cryptocurrencies. Don't expect Chewy's earnings to be so great. The stock could still take off. Look at Salesforce ahead of earnings. The S&P 500 has gone nowhere in May. Apple stock hasn't helped. A bear market rally or start of something bigger. Stocks deep as inflation fears mount. Bonds fall. Markets wrap. Stocks futures sleep on inflation fears. Eyes on Powell Biden talks. Eurozone inflation hits record as the ECB mulls how quickly to hike. Treasury slide as inflation concerns keep rate hike bets live. NEO stock rises, so there are three reasons. Tesla's Shanghai plant is back to 70%. Delivery estimate look too high. Blackstone's new twist on private credit will open up billions. Amount of gold stocks surge on $6.7 billion Goldfields deal. Crude stocks have sung. Only two have seen large insider buys. Oil stocks enjoys broad rally as crude prices jump, with ExxonMobil at an 8-year high and Chevron at a record. French inflation hits on a record feeding rate debate. Yamana Gold stock surges after $6.7 billion Goldfields takeover deal. Most student loan borrowers made no payment during US freeze. Global investors eased back into China equities on policy bets. Here's what Goldman Sachs sees as the next big there is no alternative trade. Qualcomm wants to buy arms stake in upcoming IPO, CEO tells FT. Oil gains as EU commits to partial Russian crude ban. US house price inflation to cool as buyers sidelined by higher rates. US rival shining dollar lifts yuan ruble trading by 1,067%. Alibaba J.com jump on easing COVID curbs. Share sales in Europe haven't been this bad in nearly 20 years. Should we wait to see how the market plays out? I want to purchase rental home. Is this a good home? Biden will meet with the Fed's Powell Tuesday to discuss economy. Wild swings of May not necessarily the end of market turmoil. Chinese banks overflow with cash that nobody wants to borrow. How can I ease into stocks as the market regains its footing? Try this building block dividend plays yielding 3% plus with upside to bud. Snowflake stocks looks attractive 2 years after its crazy IPO. Moonish have lead this year as investors be allowed. There may be a bargain right now. Costco shares unusual on the membership price increases. Unlevered Unilever stock prices sharply as Nelson Peltz is added to board. Hmm. In a big bid to punish Moscow, EU bans most Russia oil imports. Brokem is primed to hit a new all-time high. Biden to meet Fed chair as inflation bites pocketbooks. In a major blow, EU bans imports of most Russian oil. Something that I would love to look at. It totally got my interest because, uh, because of the war between Russia and Ukraine. Um, like me as a citizen of Korean art is still affected by its influence. So is this game on for games stop stock? Builders first cap stock is building out of base. Is this game on for yes GameStop stock? There's an institutional bottom in Autodesk. Cold stock is becoming affordable. Uh, Ulta Beauty had one beautiful quarter. Workday gets worked over by the analysts. Um, in Big B to punch most EU bans most Russian oil imports. Builders first. Source stock is building out of base. Investors can get 5% plus dividend yields on these three buys. Firm stock has affirmed the bottom three defensive consumer stocks worth shopping for. The block correcting for negative earnings. Okay, number one, stocks. We have reached peak bearishness amid recession and fat fear, City says. Okay, are we reaching uh the very bottom? Because if it's not reaching very bottom, then it's obviously gonna go upward. But is it really bottom? That's the main key point that we have to discuss. Because nobody knows for sure. After a couple of days of strengthened stocks on Wall Street, investment bank thinks the worst is behind investors for now. Over the near term, our high level takeaway is that equity markets have reached a peak bearishness related to Fed expectations and recession risk. City strategist Scott Cronert wrote in a new note to clients. From here, we suspect that volatility will move more down the single stock path with the quarter two reporting period approaching. We expect to see more evidence of this. Cronin listed several factors behind his call, mostly related to market sentiment, hitting extreme pessimism. CFTC futures and options positioning data shows that asset manager net length is near a 10-year lows when we normalize uh, notionals by aggregate market cap or gross exposure. The strategist adds that flows to U.S. equity mutual funds and ETFs are seeing improved flows in a month of May to date, based on Citi's analysis. The American consumer is very strong, so that presents a challenge for the Fed, but it's also a good thing to be working against. Don't fall in love with your investment; they'll always break your head. Okay, it's an interesting article. Okay. Hmm. Sexy stocks may bring an initial thrill, but when it comes to investing, boring is usually best. Boring is usually don't fall in love with your investments. JP Morgan says the market bottom is near as corporate buybacks skyrocket. Here are three high upside stocks to play that bullish sentiment. Stocks have fallen quite a bit in 2022. If you're wondering where the market bottom is, JP Morgan has some good news. The bank sees companies continuing to buy back their shares, which could help stocks establish a bottom. The latest sell-off, JPM estimate 4 times higher buyback executions than trend, which implies the corporate put remains active. Uh, JP Morgan's Marco Kolanovic writes, the bank sees companies continuing to buy back their shares, which could help stocks establish a bottom. Okay. The bank sees companies continuing to buy back their shares, which could help stocks establish bottom. The analysts point out that S&P 500 companies have announced a whopping $429 billion in share purchases activity in 2022. And since corporations continue to gush cash flow, more buybacks could be on the way. If you share this view and want to buy the deep in a market bottom, here are three stocks that JP Morgan finds particularly attractive. Want to buy a deep in the market bottom? Here are three stocks that JP Morgan finds for particularly attractive. ChargePoint Holdings. Electric vehicles are selling like hotcakes, and ChargePoint Holdings is solidly positioned for the EV boom. The company has one of the largest EV charging networks in the world. It has around 5,000 commercial and fleet customers, including 76% of Fortune 50 companies. Since its inception, ChargePoint has delivered more than 105 million charging sessions. Hmm. ChargePoint Holdings. Hmm. The company has one of the largest EV charging networks in the world. ChargePoint has delivered more than 105 million charging sessions. Of course, EV stocks haven't beaten market darlings lately, and this EV infrastructure play was caught in the sell off as well. ChargePoint shares have fallen 48% over the last 12 months. That could give bargain hunters something to think about. In the fiscal year ended January 31st, ChargePoint generated $242.3 million of revenue, marking a 65% increase year over year. This was driven by a 90% increase in network charging revenue, mm, and a 32% increase in subscription revenue. Uh, JP Morgan analyst Bill Peterson has an overweight rating on ChargePoint and a price target of $18, roughly 34% above where the stock sits today. Analyst Bill Peterson has an overweight rating on ChargePoint and a price target of $18, roughly 34% above where the stock sits today. As a leading manufacturer of graphic cards, ChargePoint Holdings. Let's look at ChargePoint Holdings. Is it also added on my portfolio? That's one thing that I have to check. It's on my portfolio, so good. Nvidia, uh, no need to mention because it's one of the best stocks, one of the hot cupcake. As leading manufacturer of graphic cards, Nvidia shares have had a solid bull run over the past decade, but that rally came to an abrupt end in November 2021. Since reaching a peak of $346 in late November, the stock has fallen about 45%. Nvidia's plunge is substantial even when compared to other beaten down stocks in the semiconductor sector. Nvidia's business is performing well, making it a particularly intriguing contrarian idea. The chipmaker generated $8.29 billion of revenue in its fiscal quarter first. The amount represented 46% increase year over year and also marked a new quarterly record. You know, revenue from gaming increased 31% year over year to a record $3.62 billion. Meanwhile, data center saw its revenue spike 83% to a record $3.75 billion. JP Morgan analyst Hollins recently lowered the price target on Nvidia from $350 to $285. However, Sir maintained an overweight rating on the shares, and the new price target still implies potential upside of 51%. Magellan Midstream Partners. Unlike the previously two, Magellan Midstream Partners is not an out of favor stock. It's actually up 9% year to date, outperforming the broad market. It's easy to see why Magellan gets positive attention these days. The energy sector is firing on all cylinders, and the Magellan's midstream operations are well positioned for this commodity cycle. The partnership is 9,800 miles of refined products pipelines, 54 connected terminals, and two marine storage terminals. It also owns around 2,200 miles of crude oil pipelines and storage facilities with an aggregate storage capacity of approximately 39 million barrels. Mm. Okay, got that point. Down more than 40%, analysts say these two beaten down stocks are oversold. After 7 weeks of straight losses, the market went into the long weekend on positive note. Their best single week since 2020, the S&P 500 added more than 6%, wiping away its losses from the month of May. Hmm. Mira GTX Holdings. We'll start with Mira GTX Holdings, clinical stage biopharmaceutical firm focused on the development of novel gene therapies for severe diseases. Hmm. Oh, hey there, Moongy. My girlfriend came here. Hmm. How are you doing? Okay. Uh, let's wait for my girlfriend to talk. Mm. Before that, let me talk more about this issue. Not issue, but the company listed here, Ison. And now we move on to the energy technology sector, where Ison has been in business for 50 years. The company works in the solar power niche, providing a range of products for solar power projects at all scales, residential, commercial, industrial, and utility. Hmm. Aha. Awesome, awesome, awesome. From time to time, it's good for you to read a book in a way that helps you gain knowledge and makes you have broader thoughts. Okay, anyway, let me get back to where I was. I was talking about Iceland, right? Uh, this humidifier, it's not brand new one. It's just that mm, uh, I think Young Living. I think my mom got me here. I don't know why. She just put that thing here too. I mean, I've got a lot of a humidifier. The one that you gave me, and the one that my mom got me, and I got another one too. Mm. So when I turn everything on, my room is full of moisture. It's all humidified. Uh, it gets never dehydrated. It gets hydrated all the time. I got you. Okay, now I'm feeling better. Oh, I'm feeling way, way better. Oh, okay. Oh, all right. Mm, the one last company that I was trying to talk about is Arson, and it's not kind of a company that I'm interested in because it has got to do with the energy sector. So I'm not really interested in energy sector. So I'm be just skipping on this one. And investors pile into 10 stocks to catch markets upswing. Let's see what this is. Investors Business Daily. Memorial Day sale. The stock market is having a tough May. What's next? According to history. Do, The stock market is down from if it ends the month in red, history says to get heat on. Get heat on my butt? What do you mean? Do you want to hit my butt? That's what they're trying to say? You want to hit my butt? Oh no! 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 What is spelled right? But is spelled right. If you mean my ass, if that's the term that you are trying to say, then that's spelled correctly. Ass, bottom, butt. Uh, yeah, it's spelled correctly. That's correct. Hmm. Uh, okay. I feel like I'm waiting. Okay, what? Hmm. Okay. Okay. See you, Moon. The S&P 500 is down about 0.1% for May, though it was down much more a few days ago, with May officially closing out on Tuesday. Morgan Stanley says US stock rally has limited upside. Room to fall. Morgan Stanley strategy sees S&P 500 sinking 18% from current levels. Uh, the relief rally in U.S. equities has limited scope to go much further as risk to growth remain prevalent. According to Morgan Stanley's Michael Wilson, last week's strength will prove to be another bear market rally in the end. The strategy wrote, though, the key fundamental call we're focused on now is slowing growth, and our view that earnings estimates are too high. Morgan Stanley sees the S&P 500 reaching a maximum of 4,250 to 4,300 points in the current rally, a 3.4% gain from Friday's close. Nasdaq and small cap stocks are likely to rebound more on a percentage basis, as they usually tend to do in such circumstances. Wolf said, U.S. stocks have had a volatile month amid fears. Primarily rational as described this particular rally beyond just an oversold bounces that the Fed may be contemplating a pause in September. These investors say Nasdaq's bear market has legs. These investors say Nasdaq's bear market has legs. The drooping global technology stocks have seen this year may be far from over. That's the message for many strategies and fund managers. Hmm. We expect this year's rout to deepen in the near term as the Federal Reserve aggressively tightens monetary policy to fight inflation, raising the specter of a recession. These invest in Nasdaq's bear market has legs. Zoos Orman, this is the only asset class with a track record of earning more than inflation. Here are three simple ways to get exposure for the rest of 2022. Only asset class with a track record of earning more than inflation. Banks. Whether hot inflation persists or we're heading towards a bear market, Short Overman, personal finance expert, says you should still lean on stocks for the long out. Over the long term, stocks have produced the best gains after factoring in inflation, writes Orman in a blog post. Bonds and cash struggle to keep pace with inflation. Only stocks have a track record of earning more than inflation. Orman's advice is sound, but some areas of the stock market perform better than others. During periods of high inflation. Whether you are looking to invest thousands of dollars or just a bit of savings, the following three sectors might give you an extra boost for the rest of 2022. In her blog post, Orman says investors should be prepared for stocks to go through periods where their value dips. But that also offers a chance to snap up more top shelf stocks bargain bean prices. When the next pullback happens, there's one place investors might want to look to first: banks. Unlike the vast majority of other industry, banks actually fare well when the Fed tightens up because of their asset sensitive nature. When interest rates rise, bank assets like bonds and bonds tend to climb higher than their liabilities such as deposits. Rising rates also mean the banks can earn a wider spread between what they pay out in savings account interest and what they earn from treasuries. Even when people slash their budgets to help offset rising prices, precious metals. All else fails, their value doesn't really tarnish. You can always buy precious metal, bullion, or coins, but mining stocks and ETFs all let you invest in the space at low cost without needing to find storage. Salesforce are expected to serve as business deep spending bellwether amid economic uncertainty. Salesforce, let's zoom in on Zoom's video charts a week after earnings. Micron, Netflix, and 5 are beating up tech stocks that could be bargains. A mix of rising bond yields and recession worries have weighed on the tech sector since late last year. Nasdaq Composite has fallen 22% in 2022, compared with a 13% drop for the S&P 500 index. Qualcomm keen to buy ARM stake in chip designer's upcoming IPO, CEO says. Qualcomm is keen to buy a stake in SoftBank Group's ARM, the UK chip designer's upcoming initial public offering. The US chipmaker is interested in investing alongside its rivals. Amon told the Financial Times in an interview. He added that Qualcomm also could join other companies to buy ARM outright if the consortium making the purchase was big enough. How can I quickly pounce on Bitcoin's recent bounce? Here are three of the simplest ways to start investing in cryptocurrencies. How can I quickly pounce on Bitcoin's recent bounce? Here are three of the simplest ways to start investing in cryptocurrencies. After roughly 12 years of steady adoption, cryptocurrency digital assets are starting to hit the mainstream. There are now more ways to bet on this industry than ever before. Service providers, payment processors, and miners have been listed on public stock exchanges. Meanwhile, regulators continue to mold exchange-traded funds that track specific digital assets. The barriers to entry are rapidly disappearing. Investors must now consider which instrument is the best fit for their portfolio. Direct investments, crypto mining stocks, crypto service providers. Buying cryptocurrency directly is a breeze these days. Mainstream payment platforms like PayPal and Square have integrated services enabling users to buy, hold, and sell crypto. Investment app Robinhood offers crypto trading too. In other words, you can own digital assets directly within these platforms. A look at Salesforce ahead of earnings. NEO stock is rallying to start the week, and there's not just one reason but three. NEO stock was up more than 4% in early trading Tuesday, while futures on the S&P 500 Dow Jones Industrial Average held, both falling about 0.4%. Tesla's Shanghai plant is back to 70%. Delivery estimate looked too high. Tesla's Shanghai factory is still not operating at full strength, but that's not the only reason the EV company's estimate still looked. Tesla's Shanghai plant still isn't running at full speed. What it means for its stock. Tesla's Shanghai factories are still not operating at full strength. But that's not the only reason the EV company estimates still look too high. Tuesday, Bloomberg reported Tesla will continue to operate its Shanghai facility in a closed loop setting until early June, with workers isolated from the outside world because of local COVID restrictions. Monday, Bloomberg reported the plant was back at about 70% of its design capacity. Qualcomm wants to buy an ARM stake in the upcoming IPO, CEO tells FT. Qualcomm wants to buy a stake in SoftBank Group Corp. (ARM Ltd.) in the chipmaker's upcoming initial public offering. Chief Executive Officer Cristiano Amon told the Financial Times. San Diego-based Qualcomm is interested in investing alongside its rivals and could join other companies to buy ARM outright. If the consortium making the purchase was big enough, Amon told the newspaper. Qualcomm has not yet spoken to SoftBank about a potential investment in ARM, he said. Wants to buy ARM stake in upcoming IPO. Buy a stake in SoftBank Group Corp. (ARM Ltd.) in the chipmaker's upcoming initial public offering. Snowflake stock looks attractive 2 years after its crazy IPO. Cloud specialist, it's been more than 600 days since Snowflake came public and one of the hottest initial public offerings of the pandemic era. It turned out to be a winding, nearly 2-year road back to the starting line. For investors, there's now an opportunity to make a sharply discounted bet on what remains one of the most impressive growth stories in software. The standard description of Snowflake is that it's a cloud-based data warehousing company. A better explanation is that Snowflake provides software on top of the giant Broadcom's Prime hit a new all-time high. Price action in Broadcom experienced a significant downward pressure over the past 2 quarters, but we think those days are behind the stock. The downward pressure is due in large part to institutional selling that we see ending now. These Q2 results are in the back. The institutional selling reached a fear-driven crescendo just before the results were released, and those results did not confirm those fears. If anything, the results point to ongoing strength for this company and more. The addition of VMware to the fold will not only increase top line results, the addition of VMware to the fold would not only increase top line results but offer a plethora of synergies and cross selling opportunities. Broadcom exceeds expectations in quarter first. Broadcom. Okay. Quarter first results were better than expected on all levels. The company reported $8.1 billion in net revenue for a gain of 22.5%, which beats the MarketBeat.com consensus by 240 basis points. The strength was driven by a 29% increase in semiconductor solutions, which is the largest segment by far. The infrastructure software segment, which is about 25% of the net revenue, grew by a smaller 5%, but both segments aided margins expansion. In regard to margin, the company's net income grew by 34%. Or buying Broadcom. The technical outlook, Broadcom hits bottom bounces. EU bans imports of most Russian oil. The analysts are buying Broadcom even if the institutions are selling. The 25 analysts with current ratings on the stock have it pegged at a firm buy, and that has been steady over the last 12 months at least. What is not steady is the MarketBeat.com consensus price target, which is trending higher versus last year, 3 months, and 1 month ago. There have been at least three commentaries released since the quarter two results came out, and all three of them include price target increases as well. The key takeaway is the most recent three targets include the new high target of $780 and has stock trading at least 5% above the current consensus in new all-time high territory. And one of the reasons that analysts are buying Broadcom is the capital return program. Broadcom pays a safe 2.8% and a high yield for tech while buying back stock. The company not only bought back $3.29 billion worth of stock in quarter two, but also added about $7 billion. In the most significant effort yet to punish Russia for its war in Ukraine, the European Union agreed to ban the overwhelming majority of Russian oil imports after tense negotiations that exposed the cracks in the blocs united. From the moment Russia invaded on February 24th, the West has sought to hit Moscow's lucrative energy sector to cut off funding for its war. Mm. But any such move is a double-edged sword, especially in Europe, which relies on the country for 25% of its oil and 30% of its natural gas. European countries that are even more heavily dependent on Russia have been especially reluctant to act. In a move unthinkable just months ago, EU leaders agreed late Monday to cut around 90% of all Russian oil imports over the next 6 months. Belgian Prime Minister Alexander De Croo called the embargo a big step forward, and Irish Prime Minister Michael Martin hailed it as a watershed moment, but both leaders cautioned that Europe would need time to adjust to the impact. Mm. And any further bans on Russian energy would come slowly. In response to the EU's decision, Michael Yulianova, Russia's permanent representative to international organizations in Vienna, said on Twitter, Russia will find other importers. Hmm. There's an institutional bottom in Autodesk. High valued Autodesk moves on strong guidance. Price action Autodesk has put in a bottom. But we don't think investors should rush into the stock. Mm. While the quarter first results were better than expected and the guidance favorable, the margin of outperformance was tepid, and the guidance in line with consensus estimates. With the stocks already trading at 32 times higher, its earnings in an uncertain economic environment, we can't help but think the growth is already priced into the market. Okay, this is about it. And start reading about Paladin Interactive. Palatine Interactive. Palatine Interactive. Two struggling stocks are unlikely to recover anytime soon. Palatine stock sinks a weak Nautilus forecast after Dawson at home fitness rebound. Why Palatine stock dropped 10% today? Is Palatine stock about after dropping to $14 a share? It's hard to believe these plain good news if you're still trying to lose your COVID-15. COVID-15. CEO says 100 million members is the goal. Just raised $750 million from Crowder. It doesn't make the stock a buy. Tech layoffs and hiring freezes increase the cheap money shrinks. Gets multi-billion-dollar endorsement from debt buyers. Not so good on its outlook. People have a negative outlook on this one. Power Interactive. Its revenue is increasing. Its earnings is still the same. And what else do we have to look at? Two struggling stocks are unlikely to recover anytime soon. Let's read this one. Shares of Oxygen and Paladin have fallen more than 70% in the past year. Oxygen may generate revenue this year, but its long-term future remains a big question mark. Paladin is full of problems, and investors shouldn't risk finding out if it can turn things around. Don't buy the deep on these stocks, okay? The Nasdaq bear market has seen many once promising growth stocks tumble heavily this year. It has created some great buying opportunities in the market for long-term investors. However, there are some stocks I'm not confident will recover anytime soon, and that investors are probably better off avoiding Oxygen. Biotech stock Oxygen is down a whopping 75% in the past year. Paladin was a stock that surged in popularity during the pandemic. Exercising home during lockdown sounded like a great short-term investment idea. Already long out, it was questionable whether people would continue to pay more than $1,000 for its high-priced bikes and also pay recurring subscriptions. And now, at a time when inflation is running rapid, it's hard to see a way for a company to get out of its tailspin. In just the past, year, its shares are down close to 9%. 90%. Wow. It was questioned whether people would continue to pay more than $1,000 for its high-priced bikes and also pay recurring subscriptions. It's possible that after 5 years of restructuring the business and shedding costs, maybe Paladin could turn itself into a more attainable investment. But as of right now, choo choo. Yeah, choo choo. You know what I'm talking about. Um, mm. My girlfriend came here again. Hi, mom. Knock. Choo choo, knock. Knock, knock. After 5 years of restructuring the business, but as of right now, the company has many problems with sales slowing down, and the business is burning through tons and tons of cash. Over the 9-month period ended May 31st, Patton burned through roughly $1.7 million in cash. just from its day-to-day operations. That is a huge problem for a company that, as of the end of the period, had just $966.2 million in cash. Choo-choo condition is the best. It has never been great. Oh, since I started talking about choo-choo, a lot of people are coming into my channel. I wonder if they're really worried about the condition of my choo-choo. Hmm. People are rolling in since I started talking about choo-choo. Okay. Now people are like, oh, what the heck is choo-choo? I'm like, get the hell out of this channel. Choo-choo condition is the best. It's the best because I did exercise tonight, I played basketball, and yesterday and the day before, I believe. No, not the day before, but yesterday I played basketball. And I got really, really awesome plan for tomorrow. And and the day after tomorrow and on Friday night, I'll be doing exercise. And on Saturday, I'll be doing exercise, doing some workout with you. So it's gonna be the best. It's gonna stay um it's gonna be like at the best condition ever. Mm. I'll be calling you soon, Moon. I'll be calling you soon. In 3 minutes, I'm going to sum up and then just put an end to this YouTube live. I'll be calling you as soon as I finish up on this. Well, okay. Uh, Paladin stock, it's got a lot of problem, obviously. Even if you, it's good that I only invested a small amount of money into it. I know this business is not in good condition, and like, mm, let's read more of it to see what this author really thinks. Over the 9-month period ended March 31st, Paladin burned through roughly $1.7 billion in cash just from its day-to-day operations. That is a huge problem for a company that, as of the end of the period, had just $966.2 million in cash. The red flags are all there for investors to see in plain view. Inventories are rising, sales are falling, and the cash burn is high. A big danger for investors at this point is that even if the company starts turning things around, it will need to raise cash to do so, mm, likely in the form of share offerings. Even if you like Paladin stock, the safer strategy would be to wait and see if the company can turn things around. Find a way to generate sales growth and slow its cash burn. Buying before that happens could set your portfolio up for a rough ride. Hmm, could set your portfolio for a rough ride and potentially lead to devastating losses. Okay. One more article and then I'm done. Pattern stock sinks awake Nautilus forecast doubt on at home fitness rebound. Everything else is good, but Paladin Interactive, people have negative view on its outlook. Demand is softening. Coach inflation is Paladin stock sinks awake Nautilus forecast stood out on at home fitness rebound. Shares of Paladin Interactive have had a difficult year, and they're not getting any help Tuesday from a sales warning from a smaller competitor. The weak revenue outlook from Nautilus drives home the point at the Web Paladin stock dropped 10% today. You're reading a free article. Paladin is in desperation mode. What happened? On a day that the stock market is up over 1% overall, we have seen shares of Paladin Interactive drop as much as 10%. Shares clawed back some of those losses in afternoon trading, but are sold down 6.2% as of 2.230. The market continues to try to figure out what to do with a potential U.S. recession, rising interest rates, and a shift away from pandemic stocks. Today's loudest voice was the Financial Times, which highlighted that Palantir actually has an inventory problem on its hands now that demand for bikes and treadmills has fallen. Tough position until it can match its supply and demand. During the pandemic, the company built a capacity in hopes the demand and revenue would keep growing long term, but that didn't happen as people went back to work and started cutting back on some spending. Now the company is just hoping to survive long enough to fight another day, which isn't a promising sign for investors. The first quarter of 2021, the pound had just 7 days of inventory on hand as demand for bikes skyrocketed and the company couldn't keep up. But at the end of the first quarter of 2022, uh, the company has 225 days of inventory in hand. This is notable because late last week there were multiple reports that the company is looking to raise $750 million in debt to try to survive the current drop in demand, which would in turn make the stock even riskier because of the debt hanging over the business. It's in serious condition. Okay, this is it for today, and I'll see you guys tomorrow again. Okay, if not, the day after tomorrow. Okay. Happy night and good night. Okay. Bye bye.